Just know that you're amazing, you deserve everything. Black queens, no matter your color, know that God made you his image, be unique like no other. My queens, just know y'all the best. Just have confidence, you're beautiful, don't settle for less. My queens, life is truly a test, but you got it cause you're strong, so you don't have to stress. Yeah, you're beautiful.
Hey. Welcome, everybody. How y'all doing? I go by V Queen. And this guy, who are you to my right?
Oh, I'm the Twisted Poet.
All right, Twisted Poet. I want to welcome you guys to the July edition of the Haiku Hour. I would like to introduce you all to our July guest. He goes by Mr. Derek Owens, a.k.a. Mr. Poetic 7.
What's going on, y'all?
Yeah.
Oh, I gave you that, boy. What you think about that?
Sound like we're in the movie theater.
I know,
Sound
right?
like DJ Kelly finna come on and song.
Another one. How you doing, Mr. Poetic 7? Poetry 7.
I'm good. No complaints.
So let's get into it. Tell me about the name Poetry 7.
So 7 is the story of Jacob wrestling the angel.
Okay.
And was like, I'm not gonna let you go until you change my situation.
Ooh.
And so you get your hip put out of place.
Yeah.
And yet, how is something mere able to like handle something that's divine to the point the angel got to say, "Let go of me for day breaks."
Yeah.
So Derek and 7 are the, I'm not finna stay in this situation. I was fighting for change.
I like that.
And so that's how 7 came by fighting for change.
Okay.
How did he always have that? What he was showing us on the screen.
I have no idea. But I love it when he said, "Let me go." He said, "I will not let you go till you bless me." So it lets me know how determined he was in regards to the metamorphosis, if that makes sense, that change. So tell me about your upbringing. I mean, what you want to share. I don't want you to don't. If you want to give me tea, I like tea though. But I'm just saying, just okay.
No Shannon Sharp over.
Just saying.
So, Derek Anthony Lamar Owens.
All that, huh?
I'm here all that.
Dow, D-A-O.
So, pretty much, 4 sisters, different stepdads. So I was more so the geek, the nerd, the guy that got picked on growing up. I was never the cool kid.
Okay.
My sisters always seemed to be the favorite. I was the black sheep. You and your feelings too much. You cry too much. One of my stepfathers used to always think I was a wimp and I was weak because I was never the type that was like aggressive.
Okay.
I didn't really have the example of what a man does and how a man handles things growing up.
Okay.
Because I just used to see my stepfather just like aggressive, angry, I got picked on to like, because I used to always express how I felt.
Yeah.
I was told that, I was gay because I didn't have this exterior.
Yeah, that aggression. Yeah.
I was like, no, I just think I'm in tune to how I feel.
Yeah.
So just growing up, no dad, me and my stepdad physically got into fights. Just seeing how he treated my mom just made me realize I never wanted to be that.
Yeah.
So I would just always write in journals how I felt.
Yeah.
So that's the whole like beginning of where poetry came from, was writing what I felt. And getting your butt handed to you because your mom found out in the journal.
How you feel?
My son said he hate me, huh? I'm going to make that nigga hate me even more.
Yeah.
I was like, Mom, this is my journal. This is the way I express it so that I wouldn't get in trouble, because I knew the more I did it verbally, I got in trouble. My lip was bleeding and I couldn't enjoy that double cheeseburger with bacon. So it was like, okay.
It's a fat lip. You brought up actually a lot within the shortness you brought it up, so hopefully I can break it down in a few pillars. The number one thing I want to ask is there a difference between a man being sensitive and expressing how he feel versus that aggressive male? Like, what is your take on it? Because, like you said, you're just expressing yourself, but someone is telling you you have this particular orientation.
So I think there's nothing wrong with a man being sensitive and in tune, but he also has to be in control of how much.
Yeah.
Because I know women still expect us to be men and still know how to handle situations.
Hello.
And so I can say that now because I have men and mentors in my life that say it's okay to feel this.
Yeah.
But after you felt it, what are you doing differently to change your outcome?
Yeah.
And as far as aggressive, if I'm aggressive on what I'm working towards to change the situation instead of physically being aggressive to the point that I hurt somebody because there's two types.
Right.
And my stepdad was the type, I'm going to beat this until you fear me.
Yeah.
But me, my aggressiveness is if I'm determined to see something happen, if I'm hungry enough for something to happen, that's where I get aggressive at so that it can be done and I can see the works of what I'm doing instead of taking it out on somebody. If I feel that type of aggression is going to come out, that's why I put it into my creativity so that I could take it on stage and it's done in a way where it doesn't have to hurt somebody that I love. Rather, it's on stage and it can help somebody see you ain't got to do it.
Oh, I like that testimony. Let me try to see if I can get you a hand clap. Oh, no. This is, we're missing our host, Cass. Oh, there we go. I want to bring up something else you said. You talked about in your journal, if you will, you said, I hate mom and all that. And that could be true or not. But sometimes when we're emotional, we say things. Why is it when the hate from a young man towards his mother is more impactful versus the hate between any kid and their father? Because eventually they forgive their father, but why is it so hard for the mother to see forgiveness? Because I'm just on the outside looking in. I don't think you hated your mother, but I think you hated that circumstance, that situation. Mm-hmm. Man, you brought this guy up in here. He's stepdad. So, like, what's the difference in your perspective?
The hate wasn't really I hated my mother.
Right.
I was frustrated.
Right.
And so it came actually because my stepdad beat fear in me on a level where I couldn't express.
Okay.
And so at the time, I was so frustrated with my mom because it's like, well, one, I already don't know who my actual dad is.
Right.
Two,
right.
This dude right here who I'm supposed to call dad is not giving me what it means to even consider him a dad.
Right.
Three, when you have no voice growing up.
Yeah.
And, of course, you know how the Bible say be obedient.
Yeah.
So your days will be long.
Yeah.
And sometimes parents, I got to get y'all. They don't read the other half that say, but do not provoke your children. Mm-hmm. And there's been times it's like I was provoked. Mm-hmm. But because I did want to be obedient. And so it was the battle of how do you be obedient while being provoked?
Yeah.
How do you say to your parents, like, you're really, like, irking me?
Yeah.
But at the time, I couldn't do that because whatever the parents say, you just got to respect. That's the law. Until you get your own, just a law. You got to respect it.
And unfortunately, generation played a part as well because I'm pretty sure we were abused a lot as kids. However, it wasn't like that. But I just want to let you know that I'm very, very proud of you. You want to jump in? Because I'll talk to him. I'll talk to him, boy. I'll talk to him. I do this.
I've been waiting for the mentor. He been,
I'm trying. I'll talk to him.
Dark shadows, tales from the crib. I'll be like.
But let me ask you one more question.
Okay.
It'll probably be 20, but who knows? So, do you deem yourself religious or spiritual? Like, tell me about your connection with the higher power.
My leader just spoke on this at a healing and delivery service. It's a lot of Christians, but it's few believers. And I'm at a place now. I've always been spiritual, but I'd rather be a believer. Yeah. Because believers move differently than Christians. Yeah. So Christians is like it's a club. It's like, yeah, we go here, we do this. It's like it's a clique. And so I don't want to be a clique Christian. I want to be a believer that lets other people see, like, hey, just because I'm a PK and a GPK does not mean I'm perfect. Like,
You got to break those acronyms down. We don't know who listening, brother.
I'm a preacher's kid and a grand preacher's kid, so that means the next set of Owenses will be a fourth generation. So there'll be a PK, GPK, GGPK.
Keywords TUV, right?
Yeah.
So we want to make sure we have the relationship with our Creator when we giving God the glory, and I 100% agree with that. We can't be playing. We can't be holy rollers. We want to establish that connection and relationship with God.
You have to, because I mean, honestly, there are some people I can't get in a suit.
Okay.
No matter how much I know the word, some people are not gonna get Jesus through me in a suit. Some of them are gonna get me like this when I'm on the stage doing poetry.
I love outreach ministry. I love it because you're going out in the community.
That's how you win them. If you stay comfortable in the building itself, you'll never be relatable to the people that are hurting the most. Like, that's how I got connected with Poetry for Personal Power. That's how I got to the places where, like, I can connect with people that are dealing with mental health, who dealt with homelessness, who feel like, you know, it's hard trying to do the right thing, and when you mess up, now you got to find a way to, like, get forgiveness, be forgiven, and stay in that place of, you know, you're forgiven. Like, you know, a lot of people think, like, it's easy for me. Like, I ain't never did no dirt in my life. Let me be the first to say, I am the dirtiest sheet on the block. The dirtiest paper that God keeps making fresh for people to read, because at the end of the day, I've been a womanizer, because at the end of the day, I didn't know no better. A lot of people don't know. Yeah, Derek used to sell his body to stay on couches with older women before he really got to a mature place where it's like, I don't want to stay with a woman, and when she get frustrated, she can kick me out at any time. I want my own, so if I do have somebody over there, I have that right to say, no, this is my house. This is what I want to do. Like, I made decisions where I went against my believer. I went against my Creator. And then people were like, well, how you supposed to be a man of God, but you doing this? But what was every man of God's weakness? Women.
Among other things. I mean, we're flawed individuals. That's just what it is. And until you admit your wrongdoing or your sin, if you will, how you going to grow past it or overcome it, you know?
You know, okay.
Fix it.
Here we go.
Hold on. 1 second. Let me. Hold on. Okay, go ahead. I just want
Now, I, you know, like V Queen had asked her very first question that she asked was what I was going to ask.
Okay.
Where did 7 come from? You know, and she asked that, and you answered, and you even went into in depth, you know, about Jacob, and you know, and so I'm going to now, since she announced that, and then she asked other things about, you know, family or things, and you related about the father figure or the father image in your life.
Yeah.
And on the one hand, I can relate to not knowing my father, definitely, but it's hard for me to relate to a stepfather beating children that's not his in a relationship. And the reason why I'm gonna say that, and I'm gonna go back a little bit, you know, that this young lady that I was in a relationship with, she had 2 daughters. I was a street person, you know, a hustler, and I was a person who, right now, I got this one particular brother say, like, man, I remember when we used to come to your apartment, you used to make us sit in certain spots, and I did, because I was a person who walked from the front of the apartment looking out the window to the back of the apartment looking out the window for polices. I had my music low. And so when my lady moved in with me, she had a job and everything, so she wasn't like broke. She had a car, a job, and had an apartment out in Spanish Lake. But she had the 2 girls. And so I didn't have no children, and I was a person who, you got to be quiet. And so I never spanked them or anything, but I was like, y'all need to be quiet.
tonality.
Yeah. And so, and they used to, like, you know, like, I knew that they was intimidated by my voice. But one thing that I did, and this is kind of going forward a little bit, one thing that I did, you know, when the mother would cook them breakfast or make them breakfast before they went to school, she would give them a bowl of cereal. And they would be standing up at the table eating to be getting ready to be rushed out because she worked at the post office, to be rushed out. And I'm like, no, y'all finna sit down. I cook, and so I would cook them some eggs, get them some cereal, some eggs, and a cup of orange juice. So, and that's what I did every morning. When I got incarcerated, and she brought them to see me, the oldest girl had a rope in her jeans tied up because she had lost weight from, again, not eating the way that I used to feed them. And it was the appreciation of them coming up to see me and showing me how much they missed me. But getting back to the a stepfather being abusive, you know, I can't, you know, the stepfathers that my mother had into our life, you know, with the different fathers, and some of them she actually married, you know, but each one of them was giving me advice, you know. They was like a father figure, and so, you know, it allowed me to be able to connect because other than my big brother was my father figure, and so I did have I had two older brothers, so I did have my older brothers to look up to.
Yes, sir.
You know, as far as somebody to hang around, and even though they was teaching me how to be a man in a way that I later didn't approve of, because anytime I had issues in the relationship, they was trying to tell me how to treat the woman, and it never worked.
Yeah.
And so I got to the point to where you can't tell me how to deal with my relationship. It's going to either be successful or fail on me, not because y'all done gave me some wrong advice. You know, and I stands on that to this point. Can't no man give me no information on how to treat my woman or how to treat the woman in my life, because you ain't got to sleep with her. Yeah. You ain't got to do nothing. And so with that, I kind of feel the pain, you know, because there's fathers who get drunk and abusive.
Yeah.
And be beaten. We can go back to The Color Purple, and that's a good example.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, a real good example, you know, of the abuse. But when you first hit the open mic scene, and I was telling V Queen earlier, when you first hit the open mic scene, we used to be outside talking before we went into the open mic. Yeah. And you shared your relationship. You shared with us your relationship with your mother. And you shared with us of not having a father. Yeah. And you shared with us about the accident that you had with your toes. Oof. You know, I mean, you shared, you shared all of that.
You know that man want to talk about that now.
Because he did it on his social media, and he got past it. But he shared that, you know.
You gonna share it?
But he shared that as a child. What happened to him. And you know, and he even showed it on social media. So it's, you know, he ain't ashamed of it. You know, but I'm saying how we connected before everybody else or anybody else connected. And so going forward, I asked you, because when you started commenting that you wanted to do poetry for the church, or gospel. You want to do gospel poetry, and I think that's how you put it.
Ooh, I got in trouble by you that day.
Yeah, you wanted to do gospel poetry, and I question you, because I told you, man, you can't straddle the fence.
He showed it.
You got to do one or the other.
He told me flat in his words, if I want to go hear the gospel, I'm gonna go with her. If I want to hear some poetry, I'm gonna go with her.
Exactly, because and I'm gonna keep it real, because at that point, you know. My thing was, you know, like gospel, just like gospel music, has its place. Kirk Franklin shouldn't be in the club. You know, Stomp, he shouldn't be in the club. And I was in the club. I was at Sprues.
Right.
One of my buddies who I grew up with was DJ, and so I'm sitting at his table because his DJ that be relieving him, and his wife or girlfriend was sitting at the table. You know, they're their own table, so I'm sitting there with them. And so Kirk Franklin come on stump. Everybody in the club, because it was the two sides that they had on Jefferson. It was the old side and the young side, because they had, you know, the old head, because they had a young DJ over there.
Okay.
But on our side, everybody got up and started dancing. I'm like, wait a minute. I said, that's gospel music. While she was getting up, she said, yeah. But it's a hit, you know, it's
It
the
is
hit
it. Yeah,
or something.
crossover, yeah.
And I'm like, I never could get into Kirk Franklin's gospel music being in a club to where you sinning. You know, now, they say that if you want to go where the sinners that you go, I mean, if you want to save somebody, you go where they at.
Yeah.
But your music was not saved. His music was not saved. He was getting paid off of that music. And it wasn't saved, as far as I was concerned, it wasn't saving anybody. It was giving them another chance to dance to the devil's music, quote unquote. But, and I did say that if I wanted to hear some gospel poetry, I would go where it's at. Because when I go to an open mic, I'm not trying to be saved. You know, but now fast forwarding, people do their testimonies. And they're doing it and they're sharing their truth. So it don't affect me like it did then, but I remember having a conversation with you, and when I see you now, you know, because when you will be on the stages and you will be this place at this church and that place, I always hit the like button.
Yes, sir. Most definitely.
You know, and sometimes I even shared it. Yeah. You know, because you're doing what you enjoy doing, even when you stepped away from Verbs After Work.
Ooh.
And I know that was, you know, because you created that platform.
That was
Tell me about verbs. I mean, not the juicy stuff. I mean, tell me about your
How it
intent.
started.
Yeah, the intent.
So the intent.
The birth of it. If you
So me and DJ Al Business, one day got together. We was at the Panera's Bread Co. right in the Central West End, right across from the Parkway Hotel, before it became like these apartment buildings.
Yeah.
Now. And I was like, okay. So the open mic scene was still cool to me, but it was like, all right, let's be honest. They don't like the fact that I talk about God. Okay, so I done heard a lot of other poets do erotica pieces, and I never got offended by it because I'm like, you know, that's everybody's style is different. So it's like, you know, that's the beauty of open mic. Like, just because I don't write nothing erotic doesn't mean that I don't appreciate your art craft. It just means I'm not at that level yet. That's cool with me. So I was like, I want something where it wasn't necessarily I had the control now that I can do it, but it was like I wanted to still have that open flow of they're still welcome to come through and do it. Like, I'm not going to stop nobody from doing what they do. Like, if you want to do erotica, you're more than welcome to. But if I want to still talk about what God is doing for me, I should be able to do that because at the end of the day, that's what helped me get where I'm at.
Right.
So, we sat down one day. We had our little coffee. I had a little French vanilla cappuccino. And I was like, man, so what's the name of this open mic going to be? So, you know, you got lyrical therapy. You know, you got the Haiku Hour. You had, you got all these dope open mics. And I was just like, okay, I need something that stands out. So, you know, I was always, like, watching Friends. So I said, okay. So I was like, but I need something where people can, like, enjoy after work.
Yeah.
So then I was like, I don't know. I was like, we're going to think of something. So he said, what you thinking? I said, verbs. And he was like, what you mean? I said, I don't know, but I'm playing with it. So he was like, so like VERBS. I was like, nah, it's gotta have something. It's missing something. So I took the S and put 3 Z's. And it was like verbs after work.
Yeah.
And then like Daniela Monet eventually came up with like the concept of friends.
Yeah.
With the little colorful dots in between each letter.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
So it was a little rough in the beginning because it was like, you know, yeah, ain't nobody really like majorly coming through. So it was just like staying persistent.
Yeah.
Of course, you know, Twisted came through, L Thought came through, Lewis Confliction, Energy. It was so many that came through. And then there was a moment in Verbs where I was immature in my attitude and I made an ignorant I won't even call it a beef. I was just upset because I felt like I didn't get my respect at the time.
Okay.
And so I made a ignorant, call out to every open mic and was like, it's whatever. Yeah, I can get it. So we gonna do this like WrestleMania.
Oh no.
And whoever can get me will literally have these wrestling belts, which at the time I was like, look, I can buy another one from Walmart, so it's really not gonna hurt me because
Yeah.
they're only like $20.
Yeah.
And then another friend of mine was like, he would put on $1,000 and then bragging rights for a year.
Mm-hmm.
But the thing was, I was so ignorant and immature about it because I was hurt at the fact that, in my eyes, I felt like I didn't get my respect at the time. But I didn't realize, like, had not, Twisted paved the way, Lewis Confliction paved the way, Chris Word, Her Reflection, Nicole Poetic One, Explicit, DJ 76 Kid, like, all of these people I'm naming, I met them all at STLCC Forest Park Community College. That's how I met MK Stallings. That's how I got into, like, knowing where the poetry spots was. Like, that's how I even got to meet, like, Sahara Soul Sisters, J Love, like, all of them.
Yeah.
So it was like I had to remember they were already, like, probably, 7, 8, 10 so many years in the game.
Right.
Before I even got in.
Right.
So I was like, okay, I made this challenge. And then I had to realize, like, eventually I stepped away for a while. Verbs had already, like, called a meeting. And I was in this meeting, and then they was like, we're going to have to remove you. And I'm thinking, you can't remove a founder. So I said, okay, you know what, cool. I'm Mr. Poetry 7 before Verbs. I'm Mr. Poetry 7 during Verbs. And I'm still Mr. Poetry 7 after Verbs.
Right.
Verbs is what it is because of Mr. Poetry 7 making that platform for it to be that.
Right.
Y'all needed help getting to know how to use your articulate skills in poetry. Like, I've been doing this before Verbs.
Right.
I was doing this as P3. I was going in and out of state doing different things. So it's like, y'all really think I needed Verbs? I didn't. But in the process of certain artists like talking to me, like 16 Bars, Khalil, even Lewis had to sit me down and be like, look, find you first. Find who really Mr. Poetry 7 is and be him. And when you can be that, the love and the respect is going to be there.
Right.
But until you really own what you do, find your voice, your craft, your way, your style, and own it and be you 100%, is like night and day. You're going to be fighting for it until you really be you. And it's okay to be you. Because people going to love you and hate you regardless. So it's all about being you and paying respect to the fact I wouldn't be sitting here if the poets before me wasn't already laying the way out. They would have not been there for the places they are if the other poets before them didn't get there. So I had to learn it's not about demanding respect on the mic. Do what you do, get off the mic, and if the people love it, say thank you and just be humble. Because again, I was arrogant. I was cocky. Couldn't tell me nothing. Like, I went about it the wrong way, and then eventually, like, that's why I love that Bob Marley movie so much. Because it's like, I got a message, and at the end of the day, the message really ain't about me. It's for the people that need it. And when I give it, be humbled in the way I give it, and get out the way. Because at the end of the day, me being the poet is really being a messenger that somebody needs something to hear. And once I've given the message, move.
Okay, you said an earful, so I'm gonna try to dissect by asking some questions.
Let's go.
I do find it uberly disrespectful when a founder is removed from what he or she created. And you were there, so it is what it is. So hopefully you were removed with some form of dignity. If not, it is what it is. But you, like you said, what cloth you helped create. Yeah. When you do a certain type of poetry, whether it's gospel or what have you, do we have to conform to what society is now? Like that it thing? Like most musicians are in the game. Because I do believe Kurt Franklin he changed his style of music to appeal to the and it worked obviously. I mean, you in the club talking about, hold on, is this a gospel song or is this a twerk fest? You know, but you know, look, Stomp was the bomb. When I think about the good hits in the pool, I mean, it was the bomb. So you know, do we have to conform? Do we have to shift our style, or do we be authentically true to what we do, or do we have to change with the times?
I don't. Here's the thing. If I know who my audience is,
Right.
I don't have to. Because who is meant for is who is meant for.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not everybody's favorite cup of coffee. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that they're hating on me. That doesn't mean that we're beefing. It just means I'm not their favorite cup. And that's not my fault. That's not their fault. They know who they like. Like, it's some people who Lewis Confliction can really compel better than me. And I can't get mad at that because God gifted Lewis to do what he does best.
Yeah.
It's some people Khalil can get better than me. That's okay. It's people you can reach better than me. But at the same time, what makes us as poets so like unique is when we all hit these open mics. We're getting people. Uh-oh.
I don't know what that is. I guess forgive me. I'm sorry. It's not my phone. It's not my phone. I hope you have your thoughts.
Young Jibs, I hear you.
That is good.
Like, you know, even with truth, like, truth is so authentically, like, raw.
Yeah.
But guess what? People love that.
Yeah.
And people are able to, like, relate to that. Same way, like, if somebody else says, Sir Irvin Williams, guess what? He's reaching the people that his poems and whatever he does is made for. I can't be mad at the fact somebody may not feel Mr. Poetry 7. If everybody is feeling Mr. Poetry 7, that means I'm not doing my job. Because I don't need everybody to be just like, oh yeah, give me like what I want to hear. Like, no. Lewis told me sometimes some of my poems were not the best because they didn't come from the heart. And I was immature at the time because it was like, wait, what do you mean? And he was like, no, sit down and really like write. Take your time.
Yeah,
That's what poetry is. Like when you really write the stuff that you know that really bothers you and you don't want to do it.
So did P3 come after verbs or?
P3 was before verbs.
Okay, so that's still going on, or how does that look?
Yeah.
Okay, give me a little.
So Poetry for Personal Power, I started off as a sponsored advocate artist. And we go to Kansas City, we will learn how to become entrepreneurs through poetry.
Okay.
So we always had this question we would ask, what's your superpower?
Okay.
So I said prayer, faith, poetry. Because that's what helped me through life.
Right.
And so they would have different like poetry slams, of course, at Forest Park, Harris Stowe State University. And I never won one until then. It was the third time they did it. And I finally won a slam. And I was like, it's about doggone time I won one of these things.
You're like, long time coming.
Because I've never gotten a poem under 310. I go 5 seconds over.
Okay.
Because the one poem that never gets me is the poem I love the most, I'll Father You. And I'm almost like 5-10 seconds over. I'd be like, dog, I got to find a way to do this one. In 310.
Did you practice it?
I do. But
he be holding the little stanza longer. Like, it's him.
You hit on something, but my thing is, see, a lot of them poets, because of the time restriction, because of the time factor, a lot of those poets and those slams just start talking real fast to where you have to try to listen to keep up with them.
That
time. And my thing is like, it's like now, okay, so for example, a lot of the slams are like listen to rap music. If you don't know this artist, and this artist is reciting, I'm gonna say spitting, and he doing it fast, if you don't know the artist, you can't even keep up with what he's saying. And so you kind of lose something because you don't know what they're saying because they speaking so fast, but they rapping. For those who like rap, their ears slow the rap down. Slow enough for them to understand, even though it's still going fast for me. you know, you can be listening to it, and you like this, and you can even be reciting up with them. And I'm like, man, you talking too damn fast. You know, type of stuff. You know, and which is why I'll say, man, I'm into the old school rap, hip hop, because for the most part, you can understand what they're saying, and they were saying something, and not just having a cold beat or a cold track.
Yeah.
But I want to step back a little bit because you commented that you're not everybody's cup of coffee, and I agree. But see, here's the thing: when I first hit the open mic stage, spoken word groove, going over to Manchester to the bookshop and stuff like that.
That's my joint there.
Yeah.
The thing of it was then, the poets was not trying to compete against each other, and I'm saying that as a lame. I'm not gonna use the term lame, but as a novice poet, because I'm a writer. I say it right now, even though I've been doing open mic since 1999, 2000. I'm a writer because I've been writing since the 70s and earlier, because I was reading Maya Angelou, Emily Dickinson, Robert Frost. I mean, when I was in grade school, we had, we was reading and we had poetry. Langston Hughes, Nathaniel Hawthorne, James Baldwin. And so I wanted to be a writer of poetry.
You better throw Nikki Giovanni
Nikki
in there.
Giovanni,
I mean, you
Gwendolyn
naming
Brooks.
people that you got.
Because Nikki Giovanni got
Edgar
that
Allan
one
Poe,
about
never
I'm not
more.
from the era, but I'll
Right.
throw one in. Gil Scott.
That's all I'm saying. Let's
Yeah,
get it
with
in.
Winter in America. The last poets. But see, before I got hip to them with the last poets and stuff, I'm reading these books that these poets have written, books of poetry and stuff, and I wanted to be a writer of poetry. I didn't know nothing about open mic for real.
Yeah.
I have been going back and forth to institutions since I turned 20.
I like how
And
you
so
say that.
when I got out in 95, you talking about, I'm like 40-something years old. So when I hit the open mic scene, I'm 20 years plus older than everybody on the scene, except 4 Feet and just Percy Wales, one of my favorites, and a few other brothers. But we was older than everybody. So, but it wasn't about the age thing. I'm looking at like Impact. He don't even use the name anymore, but Floyd Barkins Jr. Impact. Everybody was signing up that Friday on open mic, and you had like about 20, as you had about 20 poets. And I used to watch Floyd. Okay, you mentioned erotic, so I'm gonna say this right quick. I had written some erotic poetry, but David A. Jackson and Floyd Barkins Jr.
No. Well, I don't know. Man.
But
We
David
can.
A.
We'll try it.
Jackson
Next time they call, we'll
and
answer.
Floyd, they was telling me, like, you don't need to be graphic with erotic poetry. You be subliminal. I quit trying to do erotic poetry, even though my stuff wasn't graphic. But when you mention that, I am not going to sit in the audience and a brother gets up there doing his poetry and he gets graphic with his phallic symbol. Talking about I need to step outside. Because I don't want to hear you talking about your manhood.
Because it's called wordplay.
Yeah.
You can use those words without saying those words.
And so when they told me, man, it's about imagery. You use word imagery. So I talk about the seasons. I talk about butterflies. I talk about lips and stuff like that. But I don't talk about a woman's. I don't talk about a woman's womanhood. I don't say vagina.
Right.
I don't say penis.
Yeah.
Those are too graphic. And so I'll give props just like you. I'll give props like Taylor Poet. She's very erotic. And I like her flow. You got other poets out there that is erotic, like the Pooh Nanny poets. That
Wow. That's a name?
Oh yeah, that's the name. Pooh Nanny poets. What's her name? Songbird. Teresa Songbird.
He's
No,
so shocked.
you know, that's her nickname, but I can't think of her last name. But she came through here a couple of times.
Yeah.
And she always comments on the Punani Poets, which all they do is erotic. Okay, I would love to be able to do it with word imagery, but I haven't sat down long enough because I wanted to do 50 Shades of Grey in a poem. You know, like the song. So I was gonna do 50 Shades of Grey, but I couldn't sit down long enough to put it together.
Right.
And so anyway, I appreciate those. But again, getting back then, every poet, like I'm saying, man, Floyd Impact, he would be in the corner. When it was his turn to get on the open mic, he would be in the corner somewhere, you know. And so I'm like, I would check him out, I would check MK out, I would check the rest of them out, you know, and I'm like, okay. And so I started rehearsing, you know, trying to perfect my craft because I was stumbling, you know, but that still didn't give them a reason to play with my name on open mic. But, because I still got traumatic issues with that. But anyway, you know, I was green. That's what I was green. And so as time went by, you know, and I'm having butterflies. You know, you first get on stage and you ready to open up your mouth, all of a sudden you start talking real fast. Then you got to take a deep breath to slow down. I went through all of that. You know, I still do sometimes.
Yes, sir.
But again, the poets was not competing with each other. If you're going in there and sign up, I might want to sign up right before you or right after you because I'm already knowing, like, man, I ain't finna go before you. Like Brother Ting. You didn't want to sign up before Brother Ting. And you really didn't know. You didn't want to sign up after Brother Ting because he'd already captivated the audience with with his pieces. You know, and so you would pick who you want to sign up behind. And so when you started coming in, I would sign up always number 5. You would sign up number 7. So I stuck with number 5 because you was always signing up at number 7. And so everybody had their spaces that
What
they
a
signed up
coincidence.
at. Huh?
I said, what a coincidence.
Right. And so, because, you know, and everybody had particular sign-up spots.
I played the fifth.
Right, but nobody
the
was,
7th.
you know, nobody was competing. But see, now, open mics are competing against each other. You got open mic saying we the dopest open mic around, or we the hottest, and you know, and we treat our people like this, and we treat our people like that, and no other open mic does this, or you know, so you got open mics competing to be better than the next, but we all using the same poets. We all catering to the same poets to sign up on our open mic list. We're all trying to pull in the same audience. And we're all
What's
competing.
up, man? Hello.
Yes, hello. You're on with the Haiku Hour?
Wow, actually, boy, I was just watching you swipe left.
Oh, that's Casmo.
I was
I'm
swiping
just
left
watching.
because,
I'm watching you just swipe left, swipe left. So I'm gonna
but
call
when,
again,
but
swipe
when
left.
I answered, you didn't say anything.
Well, when you answered, you didn't. Well, never mind. It wasn't done. You could have just left it alone. It would have answered itself. But when you push it up, it sends me the voicemail.
Right, she did that twice, didn't she? But we thought it was just somebody. We thought it was your phone, but you said it wasn't your
Clearly,
phone.
it's not my phone.
Right, okay, because that was the caller.
No, yeah, that's what that phone's for.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's why the brother asked whether we accepted calls.
I mean, I don't mind it.
Yeah.
You got a question for the guest since you on here?
I actually do there, V Queen.
Okay.
First of all, my brother, I want to apologize for not being able to make it. But I want to also let you know that I am very proud of you, man.
Much love.
I hope that your open mic is working as well as you wanted to. And my question for you is, how long have you actually been into the poetry game?
Ooh.
Oh Lord, he don't know.
I don't even pay attention no more. Almost like 20 years now.
Oh, wow.
Ain't you 12?
It's about 20 years because
20 years.
with me it's been 25.
Yeah.
Started from 99.
Almost
Okay.
literally like
So, yeah.
20 years now.
Right.
So what's the difference between staying in your lane and content/intent? because you guys spoke about when you guys do poetry, you like to stay in your lane. Like, what is it? Are we talking about respect, disrespect? Like, what do we?
So for me, every poet, again, from J Love to the Twisted Poet to even Casmo to the Truth to Lewis Confliction to WK to MK to like Paisha Elaine, like all these poets have an impact to why Mr. Poetry 7 is who he is. And at the end of the day, these poets all gave me a jewel that helped me be me. So I'm in no competition with no poet. Even in slams, to me, it's a family reunion for me. And at the end of the day, I'm just learning to be in my lane, whoever I'm allowed to reach and impact. I'm happy with that. Because I'm okay with the fact, like, I'm not dumbing down that I can't get more.
Right.
I'm not saying that I can't.
Right.
But for those that I can for the moment, I'm okay with that. Because somebody recognized me enough to say, hey, can I be under your mentorship until I get where you're at?
Okay.
And so that's the beauty of knowing that, hey, it took learning from MK, it took learning from the Twisted Poet, it took learning from Lewis Confliction, it took from learning from Chris Ware that it's okay to learn from the greats to be great. And even like 16 Bars recently, his wife came to one of my open mics and she was like, well, my husband is the best male poet in St. Louis. And then he came through literally and just like spit. And I was like, oh, 16 bars? I said, oh, that's Big Brother. And we just started laughing. So at the end of the day, like that's why I say I can say with more maturity now, like years ago, this version of Mr. Poetry 7 was immature and did not understand, like, hey, you're learning from the people that's been, like, getting awards, going, like, Peoria, Illinois. Like, Lewis Confliction has been on so many flyers, on so many sets as one of the features, or if not the feature, he is a headliner for sure. Like, it's so many other poets I can name, so it was like, that was always my goal, is to get there. But always remember, it took learning from someone that did it to get to where you can do it. And at the end of the day, he could be featuring somewhere right now, and I'm featuring somewhere. Twisted is featuring somewhere. You're featuring somewhere. And at the end of the day, guess what? It's always a sign of humility for me, because it's like, some days, I may just want to sit still and look over the work I did and be like, all right, how do I do better with this? How do I make this piece better? Or, you know, let me just go to some of these other open mics and pay my respects.
Yeah.
Because had it not been for these open mics, I couldn't get where I'm at.
Yeah. Shout out to all the poets that he named. I'm gonna throw my hat in there. You know,
Oh, come on, V
mentioned me.
Queen, you
He
came through
mentioned me.
recently.
Yes, I did. I support his open mic, y'all. Please support it.
You know, I take that stay in your own lane. Well, and I'm gonna digress for a second. One Friday, I'm a Muslim, so as a Muslim, we're taught that man was created on a Friday. Man fell from grace on a Friday. So this particular morning, I got up on a Friday morning, and I posted what I'm just saying about man was created on a Friday, man fell on a Friday, and have a happy Friday or something like that. And so this particular brother, which I don't have to name, but the brother posted on my page, no, he commented on my post, he said, God don't say God chooses those who whatever, and in other words, he said, you know, he said God calls on those who he chose or something, and he said stay in your lane. And so it was just out of the blue. You know, and so I commented back. I said, brother, first of all, any MF lane I drive in is my lane.
Oh Lord.
You know, and so I commented about road rage and everything. You don't be telling me what lane that I can drive in, and I went there. You know, I went there so hard that at the open mics, when that brother was there, he would mean mug me. And I mean mug him back. You know, I ain't the one. But now later, the brother started doing some different things, you know, other than the open mic. And I became a part of it. You know, he was tutoring at the school around the corner from me. So when I wasn't working, I would walk around the corner to Clay School and be a part of his thing. Me and the sister, Sarah B. Tolan, we would be there. And then when he moved to another spot and I wasn't able to make it, he slammed me as if I wasn't supporting him anymore. Like, man, you got me messed up. But now, going forward, staying in your own lane, and I commented not too long ago on Facebook that I got distracted by other poets that pulled me out of my space, out of my comfort zone, which created the Twisted Poet. And when it pulled me out of my comfort zone, I said it stopped me from being the poet that I am, which is the romantic poet. I hit the scene doing romantic poetry. That was it. You know, and there was few other brothers that was doing romantic poetry. That was my lane. So then when I started getting, quote unquote, kicked to the curb on the open mic list, and then other people being put before me and stuff like that, and I started calling people out. So I became the Twisted Poet. Because originally when I hit the scene, I was Khalil the Poet. And Mr. Movie Poetic, he was the poet of love. You know, and so I just changed it to Khalil, and then I went to being Khalil the Twisted Poet. And now I'm just the Twisted Poet because, you know, I embrace my yin yang. I embrace my angelic and my diabolical. So I try to find the balance in between my darkness and my daylight, which is making me be more in tune with me. And so I commented that if I hadn't got pulled off my square, my lane was and is being the most romantic poet that I could be. And that's my lane. And so I'm getting back to that lane, even though I do, like you say, Tales from the Dark Side. That was for those brothers that look, man, I'm street. And so don't get me twisted because I'm a street person and I got something for y'all. So that was created, Dark Shadows, Tales from the Dark Side. You know, I used to watch, back when I was young, they had a soap opera. I know this is way before y'all. I mean, I'm serious.
Don't say your age.
No, they had a soap opera they used to be on.
What was it
called?
called?
Dark Shadows.
Oh, no.
And it was a vampire soap opera.
That is above my age.
It was, and
Never even heard of
you
it.
ain't never.
Days
Hey,
of Our Lives,
Google-
Another World.
If you ever Google the soap opera Dark Shadows,
Dark Shadows.
it was about a family of vampires, and the father was like Barnabas Collins.
Oh, I wouldn't
But-
watch it if I heard about
Hey,
it.
but it would come on, like once you out of school, it would come on like at about 3:30 in the afternoon, 3:30 or 4
Why is
o'clock.
they showing that at 3:30?
Yeah, I'm talking about back in the 70s. They had this particular.
Man,
I
was
wasn't
on-
even
I
born
came
in the
on
70s.
scene
I was
in
88.
But if you
82,
Google-
82.
you know what I'm saying? But so now, you know, so when I hear Dark Shadows, I keep thinking about that. Tales from the Dark Side.
Okay.
But there's other people who got poems, Tales from the Dark Side. But again, the poets, not all of the poets, but some of the poets nowadays want to, quote unquote, walk on the stage and act like everybody's supposed to bow down because they're on the stage. I don't support that. I don't support personalities. I support poetry. You know, I support your flow. You know, a lot of people might not like you, but I like your flow, so I'm gonna, you know, enjoy it. So now, when people say stay in your lane, again, whatever I recite is my lane.
I don't know if this is the guy, him or
Call
not.
from
Pierre.
Pierre.
Is that Brick Slang?
accept,
Is that
press 1.
C-Light?
To send a voicemail, press 2.
All right, I'm pressing. Hello, this is the Haiku Hour.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Yeah.
Uh-oh,
How we
laborer.
Hey, yeah, what's
Oh, that's
good,
my other
everybody?
brother, P. Light, from East St. Louis over there.
He's Boogie in the house.
Yeah.
Say P Light,
P. Light.
LOTT. Okay, Pierre.
You got a question,
okay, we
Pierre?
Facebook friends.
Yes, I actually do. Hey, Joe. I always wanted to know, man, because you and I both brothers. You also brothers in the space. So my only question is, what What inspired you to just say, no matter what topic or what content I'm speaking on in poetry, that is going to go straight to the gospel, straight to God, no matter what.
Oh man, you really gonna hit me in the core with that one, huh?
Yeah, man.
Well, at least you said you was.
I know, right? Me and him do this every Tuesday night, by the way. um, I would have to say it's the moments when I felt like everything is against me, my back is against the wall. Um, when I really had moments, I'm like I'm ready to quit, and I just be like I'm done with everything. Even to the point I was literally about to say I'm done with poetry, and it was a reminder. One night God had reminded me of what it was like being in this like spot next to the legacy, and it was just two chairs, and I would sit on one, feet propped on another one, and I would use my clean clothes to cover me from mosquitoes. And I think
Mm.
that's my reminder of why I write, and I have a humility to do what I do, because if I did not write that night, I literally would have gave up, and I literally saw like flashes of me just like rotting, dead. Like nobody would have noticed until like a dog in this dream ran in and smelled me, and then like somebody was like, "It's a strong foul stench," to the
Yeah.
point that it was coming out. So it was one night you and me talked, Pierre, and I was like, "Dude, I'm ready to just quit. I'm done. I'm like, I feel like I'm not being heard no more. Like what I'm praying for, it just seems like it ain't speaking to me." And you told me it's in the pit where you really see where you're at and what's about to be given.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
is not when people are always celebrating me. It's when I'm by myself and I really got to think about the fact what's about to happen now, cuz I'm in a situation, everything ain't working the way I want it to. I'm over here trusting for this, I'm over here believing for this, I'm over here praying for this. In front of everybody, I'm smiling, but behind closed doors, I'm crying, because it's like everybody says I'm strong, but do you know what strength looks like when you're feeling a lot of pain on the inside and
Come
you
on,
can't
bro.
voice that?
Yeah.
And it seems like the only time you can voice it is when you're on stage, but you still have to show them like this is a poem, but really it's not just a poem. This is really happening.
It's your
the clown,
testimony.
the clown
It's a
have to make
testimony.
everybody laugh, even though he crying inside. Huh?
Yeah.
And I want to thank you, P. Lot. We really almost out of time, but thank you so much for supporting your brother. Yeah, it did. But we are called the Haiku Hour, so I do want to bless you, Mr. Poet.
Haiku.
7 with a haiku or two. You
Okay.
got something?
Haikus?
Uh-oh.
Yeah, I got
I
some.
do. You got something geared towards the guests. You ain't got nothing geared towards the guests.
You know,
All right, let me
I was
go.
always leaving that for you because you was always so good with
So that's a good wrap up, is what he's saying. All right, I don't have a title for this. Stay in your lane. Who defines you? Excuse me. Who defines who you are? You. Authentically you. Number 7, wise, poet, testimony, king, advocate, outreach. And that's my haiku for you, young man.
Thank you.
Tell us where we can find you. Any platforms, any new projects coming up, anything you want us to know?
Actually, every Tuesday night, I'm at In the Loop restaurant in the Del Mar Loop every Tuesday night. Doors open at 7. It's 5 at the door, but if not, you still can come through and you're welcome to share. We get started at 8. I actually have a book of poems that I'm working on called Letters to Derek.
Okay, wow.
So these are like letters to me that I didn't get to hear from the dad that I was looking for.
Oh, wow.
I have my first stage play that I'm still finishing and looking for people to help out with, called When Poetry and Love Meets. There's another podcast I'm getting ready for in Granite City this week. And then July 27th is the We Shine Together Award ceremony. Me, Lewis Confliction, and 3 other artists all made it through 3 rounds, and now July 27th we find out who's the best male poet of the year. At the end of the day, even if I don't get it, this is the second time to be like nominated in St. Louis, so I take that as an honor that my name is even mentioned. And so you can find me on Instagram, mpoetry007, Facebook, Derek Owens. And just catch me every Tuesday night.
Y'all heard the man. So we're gonna wrap up this edition. This the Haiku Hour. Thank you, Mr. Poet 7. I'm
Thank
V
y'all for
Queen,
having me.
And I
Twisted
am the
Poet.
Twisted Poet.
All right, we gonna end it. I'm gonna do a little snippet.
Beautiful and you strong. Shine your light till the darkness is gone. Know some nights, yeah, the vibe been the wrong. But just know this is where you belong. A lot of people tell you that you can't, but you can. Girl, just want it for yourself, don't need to stress for a man. No relationship goals are part of your plan. But don't rush because you see it, it's gonna come round again. Know it's hard to be patient.